Hello friends, this is Groovy for Yarcrypto.com, and today I have a tutorial that I wanted to bring you guys, and it's about support and resistance in trading. Support and resistance, in my opinion, is the backbone for any trading technique and any trading method that you encounter. Most of them is gonna have some sort of aspect of support and resistance included in it. So this is basically one of the most important things that you can learn as a trader. And if you practice it enough and if you keep learning about it, it will surely turn you into a much better trader. So let's start. The first thing I want to talk about is what is support and resistance actually. So in essence, support and resistance are confluence levels on a chart where the price of a certain asset encounters major buying or selling pressure. So basically, it's a certain level on a chart that the price can bounce due to a certain buying or a certain selling pressure that it's going to encounter along the way. So based on previous price action, these levels are going to allow us to make educated guesses on where the price is going to go next based on history and what the price did on previous occasions as well. Basically, support is an area where the price is expected to hold or bounce from and not move any lower. And resistance is an area where the price is expected to encounter higher selling pressure and not move any higher. I'm gonna have a couple of examples that I want to show you guys in the next couple minutes. So I have a bunch of general ideas as well regarding support and resistance. The first one is the more times a level is tested, the weaker it becomes. So for example, when you have a level that is a level of support that is tested a bunch of times, the buying pressure that it's gonna encounter on that level, it's gonna be weaker every time because the buyers are gonna lose strength with each subsequent touch on that level. And this is gonna be true until the level is broken. I'm gonna show you guys in the examples as well. Another thing is a break of support or resistance is indicated by a clear candle close through that specific area. So the higher time frame, the better. So we want to have a clear candle close that we can be confident on if we wanna trade that specific breakout. So here I have a few examples of support and resistance levels. So basically support, you see that the price comes back into this area right here and the buyers push it all the way up again. And eventually we come back into this area. And since it was a previous level of significance, we respect it as a support level and we bounce from it again. So this is a basic idea of a support level. It speaks for the psychology of the market because it's a matter of supply and demand. So each time the price reaches this point, the buying demand exceeds the selling demand, and so the price moves up in result of that. I'm gonna give you guys some examples of support first. So we have this chart over here, Ethereum 4-hour chart. And if you guys pay close attention to this level right here, we have this cluster area where we had support over here, and then we had support again, and support again. So the buyers kept the price up, and the sellers were not able to actually push the price down from this area. You see that we have a bunch of wicks that happen in this general area right here. But as the buying pressure was too much, the price eventually just continued up from here. And then we spent all this time in this area right here. And then eventually we came back into this area, which, as history showed, it acted as support once again, and then support again, and then eventually the buyers weren't able to keep up with the pressure, and the sellers took over, and we had a breakdown from this level. Another example would be Bitcoin 4-hour chart as well. You see that after we broke this level right here, we came back and formed support in this area with both these wicks over here and over here. And then again, the buyers were too strong, and we went all the way up and then came back. And as expected, this acted as support once again. The buyers were still strong. We went up and hit this support 2 more times right here as well. And there was absolute no selling pressure to keep the price down, and so the price just continued up as we saw. And the same principles can be applied to the resistance levels. You see that the price comes up to this level and the selling pressure exceeds the buying pressure, and the price goes down after that. And eventually the price comes back into the same area, but since this was a level of significance in the past, the buyers are not able to push the price through this level, and then it sells off once again. So now if we're going to talk about resistance areas, we have a couple of good examples here. The first one would be Solana 4-hour chart. And as you can see, we had a significant level of resistance in this area right here. So the price reached this point and the buyers could not get the price past this level right here. And then eventually the selling pressure just took over and we sold off in this area. And eventually we came back up. And once again, we tested this area as resistance. Once again, the buyers could not get us past this level and the price just sold off all the way down here. Eventually, we came back up and we broke this level. Another example would be ADA 4-hour chart as well. We have resistance in this area, and then we have resistance here as well. Since this was a significant area on the past, it acts as a psychological resistance as well because of this previous point. So we get rejected again, sells off, and then eventually we can come back to retest it again. The sellers lose strength and the buying pressure just take over, and then we continue up from here. So as you guys could see on these examples, we have clear support and resistance levels that we can identify on a chart, but there are a couple more principles that we have to keep in mind when we are trading this kind of support and resistance. So something very important that you guys should keep in mind is support and resistance flips. So essentially when a level is turned into another level after it breaks. For example, after a support level is broken, that level is turned into resistance. And after a resistance level is broken, that level is turned into support. And these new levels are especially strong after they are flipped. We have BTC Bitcoin daily chart this time. And if you look closely here, you will see that we had a resistance area where the selling pressure sold off and the price went down. And eventually we came back into this area right here, and we just shot through this area with a big candle, big daily candle. And this is generally what you want from a breakout of resistance. You want a convincing candle that closes above this area. And as you see, after we broke this level, we didn't retest it right away. We spent all this time in this area until we finally came back. And as you guys can see, this previous level that were acting as resistance in the past actually turned as support right here, and we bounced from this support and went all the way back up again. And since this is a fresh support, because this level has been broken in the past, and this was the first time that we actually tested it as a support, it was especially strong in this case. Another example of this would be FTM, Phantom, 4-hour chart. As you can see, we have this level right here as resistance, and then we sell off, come back into it again, resistance again, sell off, and then eventually we come back into this and we have a breakthrough of this area, and eventually we stop and come back into this and we turn it as support. You can see that we have a support level right here and support level all the way here and all the way here as well. Eventually we break that because the buying pressure becomes weaker with every touch. So after this touch, we had a weaker buying pressure every time we touch it again, and then eventually we just sell off. So I hope you guys, I could help you guys with some of these examples. But how do you actually trade these kinds of breakouts and support and resistance? So essentially, there's a couple ways that you can trade these types of price action. The first one is when price actually hits support or resistance levels. Basically, you are a buyer at support and you are a seller at resistance. But when you are buying or selling, you should keep in mind the idea that if a particular level was tested many times in the past, it may be a little weak and it may break more easily than before. So a good example of this would be you actually wait for the price to reach a specific support point, in this case this one, and then you long or buy at these levels, and then you continue with the move up. Same thing here, you wait for the price to reach this point, and then you long here, and then you continue up from this point. Another method of actually trading these setups would be when a support or resistance level are flipped. So you wait for a candle close through that level, the higher time frame the better, and then you can place your order at the retest of that broken level. So once again, you should keep in mind that these are higher probability trades since these levels are stronger after a support and resistance flip. This means that a bounce is more likely to occur, especially since after a support or resistance level is flipped, it's fresh and it's stronger that way. So we have another example of this would be Phantom. You see that we had these two resistance points over here. A possible trade would be you wait for this level to be broken, like it has been broken here, and then you wait for the price to go up and come back into this pattern right here. So when this area actually gets tested again, it's a higher probability trade because it has never been tested before and it's fresh. So you put a long order right in this area right here, and as you guys can see, we just continue to the upside after that. So this is another way that you can trade this, and it's a more high probability trade that you can make. Keeping this in mind, I hope you guys were able to get a grasp of how to understand support and resistance levels a little better. So as I said in the beginning, support and resistance is the backbone for any trading technique. Studying and practicing support and resistance levels will surely turn you into a better trader, but this only comes with practice and a lot of time actually watching the charts and understanding how it works and how the price actually reacts just to these sorts of levels. Keep in mind that some of these techniques for trading support and resistance involves waiting hours and hours for a higher probability trade. So you should never force a trade or a setup if you are not confident in the levels that you have on your chart. If you want to know more, you can access yarcrypto.com. Consider joining our Discord community as well. We have a bunch of really nice people that you can talk to, and we talk about all crypto related stuff. We also do live TA, so you can always be updated on the markets as well. I hope I was able to help you guys. If you have any questions, you can put it on the comments and we'll answer you as fast as we can. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Groovy for yarcrypto.com and bye bye.